Jennifer, no worries. Okay, so Flipgrid Shorts, just while everybody's jumping in, Flipgrid Shorts is available through the browser. That's because they have some new features like screen record that you can use, but most of the tools can be used right within, hello everyone, right within your app as well. So kids can all use all of these features. So a lot of times when we see Flipgrid, we think of kind of selfie videos, but for those that are not comfortable, you have all of those options. So if you're in Flipgrid and you're on that main page, the code we have is McBride, let's create. You'll see a couple animations we made. And we'll say go. And then you can use the plus sign on the bottom. And you'll see the same, oh my goodness, a lot of me happening here. You'll see the same tools that we'll be using online. So you'll be able to work through those tools as well. Hey, I'm glad there's another Coca-Cola fan. Coke Zero. I wish I could get into Coke Zero at some point. Okay, I'm just gonna Alt-Tab us out and get us back into Keynote. There we go. Okay, so I know we've been in for a few minutes. If you were here for Apple Clips last week, welcome back. I know some of us did it on Wednesday, and some of us did it on Monday. And so I know when some of us were chatting, even before we did the session, some people mentioned that they don't have access to the Apple Clips app. Sometimes you want like a whiteboard. So this is really an option that's available through the browser. So we are looking at Flipgrid Shorts, and I promise to give the code again, no worries. And we'll walk you through how to do it. No worries at all. We'll just do some of the preamble first, if that's okay. You guys rock. So Flipgrid Shorts is a new tool that they added because in the past with Flipgrid, we only could create grids. And grids are fantastic as well. And Lisa, my understanding is we can't do synchronous video. So we can't do video at the same time, but a tool like Flipgrid, as long as you're using one of the private features, using their email address or using the QR codes, you are open to use those options. And there's lots of great ways of them flipping the camera, of using some of the filters that you'll see today, of using the emojis. So when I did it with grade 6 this year to capture some of their thoughts about math, a lot of them were loving, there's a pixelate feature, a lot of them had emojis on their heads. 2 guys were just absolutely brilliant with the emojis. I wish I was that good. So lots of options, but sometimes, hey Cyril, sometimes we don't want to bring everybody in yet. We're just looking for a tool for us. And that's really what Flipgrid Shorts is about. It means that we can just create these videos, get started with them, and bring the kids in when we think we're all ready. So that's kind of what we're going to look at tonight, just more from our point as educators, sending a message out. But yeah, there's lots of possibilities and lots of areas for growth with Flipgrid. So once we feel comfortable in the environment, there's lots of places to go with it. So we will need a flipgrid.com account if you're going through the browser. Again, I'm going to give you the code if you just want to go through the app just to feel, learn kind of all the different pieces in Flipgrid. So we'll go through that one more time, and then we'll go through the tool we're using today. So actually, I'll do the tool first just because it's going to speak to the app. So what we're really exploring is, oh, thank you, Chrissy. So it was referenced in Peel's distance learning guide, which is awesome. So the tool we're going to tap into today, or really kind of exercise, is the Flipgrid camera. It's how we create our videos. So we're not looking more at how to set up grids, but that's where the shorts just takes us straight to the camera and to all of the lovely features. So that's why if you are using an app right now and you want to follow along, then we can do it that way. Yeah, so to Chrissy's point, if you're really talking about using this with kids, as I alt-tab back to QuickTime, if you're talking about using this with kids, Flipgrid has 3 options when you're setting up a grid, a conversation topic. One is to be public, which we don't really do with kids. One is to use their email addresses. And then the third is to use QR codes, which would usually be my practice. But I know with our current times, QR codes may be a little tricky. So if you do have the app, it looks like this. And again, this is more the student feed, a great way to even collect videos from a school if you wanted everybody to drop a little message in. And I have a grid, so you can join my grid by using my code. So that's why we put in McBride. Let's create. And it takes you in to, oh, helps if I spell it right. McBride, let's create. There we go. And it takes you into our grid, and you can go to the plus sign, and you'll see those same tools we'll be using on the screen. Thanks for joining us, Sharon. We have a nice crew happening here. Okay, I'm going to flip back again. So I feel like I need to give a shout out to Debbie Owie, the illustrator author. So I actually saw her use Flipgrid Shorts. I've used Flipgrid for a super long time. We found it years ago and we're using it for Peel 21st when it was still a university project, I think. And over time, it's just become a go-to for really that quick video making. What I love about Flipgrid Shorts is that I don't need to get everyone involved right away. It's just a quick way for me to really compose and create videos, especially if I'm just using a computer or a Chromebook and we're looking for different options. So if you are using your browser tonight, you may want to just do 2 screens if that works for you. If not, like we said, you can use the code and just follow along on your phone if that's easier. I'm going to drop it in there again. So for tonight, we're going to try to walk through. I've been doing these photo walks, so I thought, let's make a clip about photo walks. So the first thing we're going to do is just add some text emojis with the camera, and I'll walk you through to figure out how to get to Shorts. We're going to see how we can then pause that clip and add more to it. And we'll be adding images and drawings just to add some more layers to it. And then some of us don't love being on camera. I can't believe I do this stuff still. So there's a whiteboard and a blackboard feature, which is awesome. And then we'll show you a couple fancy options like importing a clip and screen record. I've unbolded those because I feel if those aren't completely solid in our brain, they're always things we could come back to later. So they're kind of the bonus items tonight. And then we'll look at how we can edit and rearrange our clips and share them before the hour is out. That's the goal. Like always, we'll pause, we'll chat in the comments, take those questions. I feel like I'm obsessed about clips, and I know some of you have played with Flipgrid Shorts, so if you have tips and suggestions, please drop those into the comments. It's all about learning together and figuring out and playing. And like Sharon and I and Michelle have been chatting about, it definitely is messy, authentic learning. So it may not be as smooth as I always hope, but hopefully it's fun. All right, let's get on over to our Chrome browser. And my Chrome browser stopped. That's awesome. There we go. So if you're in Flipgrid, from the main page, it usually takes you to your activity page with all of my grids. My grids are kind of like my classes or my groups, and then those grids have topics. So again, I don't want to get my kids into that just yet. I'm just creating my own stuff. So if I go along the top, I can get all the way down here to Shorts. And it will just take me into that section. If you haven't signed up for Flipgrid.com, Flipgrid's a free, open tool. Microsoft supports them, so all the paid features I in the past are all free, which is awesome. And it's a great asynchronous option in these times as we're looking for solutions for connecting, but not being bound by time or type of device. I love that a kid on a phone can jump in, somebody with an iPad, someone with a laptop, so everybody can kind of jump in as they can. Okay, so we're in shorts. So I'm just, again, I have my message. I want to just give some context. So a lot of times we're giving activities and we want to kind of set the stage. Maybe we have an inquiry provocation we want to share. So I'm going to kind of try to walk them through the photo walk I want them to do. So I'm going to go in to record a short, and a little scary because it's going to show me big screen. And I realized I just did the wrong one. So you have a really bad shot of me, but we'll go with it. So sometimes I try to, this is just my own trick, I try to position it so that I have room to kind of put my stuff that I'm talking about, especially when I'm on screen. Maybe it's so I can hide a little bit more. But yeah, that's just one of my tips. So one of the first things I like to do is sometimes we just want, it's quarantine life, so it's not glamorous. So that first thing under the magic ball is we have filters. So filters just add a little tinge or give us a different feel for our clip. Like we said, for kids, I don't think I would use it as a teacher per se, but the last option you have there is to pixelate. So it just kind of blurs your picture a little bit. Again, if I'm sending a message to my kids, that's not probably something I'll do, but definitely an option for the kids. If you don't want a filter, you can just use the X to take it off. So I have my filter ready, and I just want to put my title on because I want it to be there when I start recording. So I'm going to say, I'm just clicking on that next box that has the letters, and then I can click on the type of letters I want. So I'm going to just put in this week's. And those people that know me well know I love to play with how things look. So I'm probably going to make photo walk a little bigger here so that it looks a little bit more like a title. And I'm just using those corners just like we would with anything else. And a little trick to make this look a little more dramatic is I'll put another color on top. And if they're the same size, and I position them just off to the side, let's get the white one on top. Yeah, I have it like a little shadow happening. Yellow wasn't the best color, but you kind of get the idea. So we have the text, we have our filters. I'm just gonna wait for a second to see if other people if there's any questions. Oh, Antoinette, no worries. Glad you made it. So one other little feature, so we had our filters, our text, and right beside it are stickers. They're really just emojis. Lots of different groups, and we'll come back to this later, but I'm just gonna look for a camera to be part of my main page, and we'll put that nice and big right here. And I'm gonna change my filter just to have fun. Hey, that blue one works. And I can rotate that up. All right. So if you just want to give me a thumbs up or yes, if you have that text, if you have an emoji, if you've tried out a filter, and we'll go to the next step. Awesome. Great, guys. Okay, so we're ready to add our first piece on. So on the bottom, you can probably see that my screen has, oh, I can do it. I'm on screen. Has this little record button. So that's just my record. And once I push record, I'll be able to pause at any time. We'll also be able to clear if we want. So I'm just gonna do my first little segment and hit my record button. Hi friends, welcome to this week's photo walk. Now, one thing I learned is that if I pause, this becomes one clip that I can keep adding to, but I also can add it to my roll and keep adding there. So let me just show you what that looks like. Hey friends, welcome to our photo walk this week. I hope you're ready to get out, wander, and get snapping. So if I go to the next button, you're gonna see that I have this clip here that I can edit. So I can use my little handles just like we did for those friends and clips last week. But no worries if you're like, but Tina, I have more to say. Just confirm and you can add more to your video. That will become more important as we go along. It's something that took me a long time. I just kept pausing and recording, pausing and recording. And I realized I couldn't trim in between my clips. So it just gives me a bit more control as I go along. So let me know when you've recorded your clip and we'll add some more to our page. Questions, ideas? It definitely is a really easy tool to jump into. Natasha, it took me a really long time to clue into the fact that I could add more clips. I felt really silly afterwards, but it does give you much more control in editing as time goes on if you go next and then come back. I did exactly the same thing, Natasha, when we were doing the coding videos. And I was just so frustrated, and I think it was only recently that I went, oh, I can do this. I can add them individually. So yeah, you could definitely, when we get to the end, you're able to download the clips together. Claire, you can also do the reverse, and we're going to show that tonight, that you can upload your Apple clip into Flipgrid Shorts. So you have, and you can maybe see it up in the top corner there, you have a little countdown. So clips, Flipgrid Shorts can be 10 minutes long. So for example, for tonight's video, we're talking about a color walk, and I have a rainbow clip already made. So I can just drop that in and then keep talking and giving them some ideas around it. Karen, I think, if it's okay that I use your example, Karen created this awesome clip for concept attainment. So I could see her dropping it in and then taking some of the suggestions the kids talked about and using those as a little debrief in here. With the whiteboard tool, you can annotate and lots of little features like that. So lots of potential to take clips or to take Flipgrid Shorts and bring them together. They're both great tools. I think it's really looking at what's more comfortable to you and what fits the learning task that you're trying to explain. All right, we're gonna jazz this up a little bit more. If you have any questions, keep popping them into the comments and we'll make sure to pause as we go along. So I have my title page. I want to tell them the theme for today. So I'm actually going to clear my screen. I don't want these annotations on here anymore. So up here in the middle of your screen, you have a little clear that will just wipe the whole workspace. And then I'm going to tell them that this is rainbows. So I'm actually going to go to my last option there. The very last one is a photo sticker. So photo stickers will actually just pop up along, and I can resize them and arrange them, which gives me lots of options. Now I tried to be smart and create a folder with all of our stuff in it. So let's see if I was. Okay, So I wonder if I can open them all at once. This is a test. I haven't done that before. Nope. Okay. So I'll just add a few. So I can take my picture, I can resize it. I'm going to make a little collage here. And if I wanted to be a little more dramatic, to have the reveal, I could have even done a little record before I drop my pictures in, but we'll make it more of an activity. So I'll get one more there just for the fun of it. Again, it's just pulling from wherever my photos are stored, so students can actually take a picture of their work and talk about it on the side if they wanted to. Oh, and that one went sideways. So we'll just rotate that up. Okay. And just to show you how I would use the pause, so something like this that's planned, I would say, can you guess what our theme is this week? And then I'll pop up my word. And I may add an emoji in there. Kind of like clips, it's a little addictive. So I'm sorry in advance. And it's not rainbows, it's colors. Good that I know my theme. There we go. You got it? It's never do the pointing right. Colors. Again, I want to be able to add this on so that I can do other pieces. So I would say next, and you can see those two clips are separate and I can edit them separately. So I'm going to go back to add more. Jennifer, I love the filters just because it just takes away some of the stress of that harsh camera being on you. As you saw in the Flipgrid Shorts ad that we made, you have a lot of possibilities with the Blackboard and the whiteboard tools that we'll use in a minute. Questions, comments? How can you see using it? Is it simple so far? Any hiccups that you're having? Just drop them in the comments. There's a lot of great emoji options as we go through, even just looking at diverse groups. Try it. So Laura, great piece about the sticky note. And as we go to the next step, we'll talk about that for sure. So the sticky note is for you. Sorry, I realize this is the big camera, so let's look at this instead. So the sticky note is for you. So if you needed speaking prompts just as you're talking, I know I'm not great about sticking to a script, so sometimes those trip me up a little bit more. But for me, it would be really handy to just say, remember to talk about the 3 different ideas and the parent notes. So that will just stay on my screen as I'm recording. It won't be in the final video, but it's just there to help me remember what we're talking about. So it's a really great little feature for you. But yeah, it doesn't show up in your final video if you're wondering about that. So all of the Flipgrid Shorts, when we share at the end, they'll actually become a link. You can drop that link into anywhere. They'll push it to Google Classroom, to Teams, and to a variety of other platforms. But you just get a link and an embed code. So you literally can drop them anywhere if you wanted to. I love the fact that they let us download the clip. So that means you then have that movie file that you can do different things with as well. So it gives you a lot of freedom to create. And I know for Chromebooks especially, as a lot of our kids are accessing Chromebooks to do their learning, it's really hard to find a tool that lets them easily capture and create that's also accessible. So all of the tools you learn in Shorts that you're modeling could be something that they tap into later on too. Yeah, Heather, it's a great little feature, especially as you get going or if you're trying to explain a concept, right? We're always, it's always a bit of a trick to remember everything you're saying. So the sticky notes is great for that. Yes, you can definitely embed, Clara. And remind me to, I think it will be obvious when we get there at the end, but if I forget, just give me um, a little reminder. Laura, I haven't seen any Google Drive integration. That's a great question we can send along to Flipgrid. I don't believe we can yet. Natasha, I'm glad. I'm glad Next is awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so the Next really allows you to bring all those pieces together. So we're really able to kind of do a lot of what we did with clips, right? It's a weird concept because it's not how we've traditionally done video when we look at Movie Maker and iMovie. But that clip idea is something that's more natural to us in Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Snapchat, all of that jazz. Yeah, this would, it does, and Lisa, it definitely meets the privacy guidelines. I know I talked to one of our MLRTs ahead of time. It would be what settings you choose. So again, when you sign in, there'll be those prompts out there. Okay, so I think we have a good start. We already have 2 clips, but I actually want to show them the photo walk card and I want to walk them through some of the different challenges. So I want to switch to the whiteboard, get me off camera, and want to do a little bit of explaining. So for that, we're going to be using these 2 tools that we haven't used yet, the whiteboard option and then the drawing tool. So if you click on the whiteboard, you're going to see you have a whiteboard or a blackboard. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. Again, I'm going to clear the page so I have a nice clean page. And when I go to my drawing tool, you'll also see you're able to choose your pen. The people using an iPhone, the kids get a rainbow pencil, which is just awesome. I don't have that. So I'm just going to go get my card. So think if you have an anchor chart, if you're doing an inquiry prompt and you wanted to take a picture that you want to deconstruct, think if you're taking a graphic organizer, you want to explain to students, just give them some context. I can bring those pictures in. And again, I don't tend to do a lot of it live, but you can do it, bring in text and images and stickies live. So if that's something you want to do, I'll show you here as we go along just how that works. So I have my cards ready, and I'm just going to walk through a little bit of them. So one thing I could do is I could use my pen to kind of highlight, but then I'm also going to show you some emoji options that are kind of handy. All right, so let's just record and use the pen a little bit. So like we said, this week's topic for our photo walk is colors. So if you look at our challenge card, you can see we're looking at, on the front, looking at capturing all of the colors of the rainbow. So see there if you can, as you go walking around your house or in your backyard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I got a little carried away there. One of the features that I just found last night, so I feel silly about this, but that I actually am in love with, is that if you go to these guys here, the reactions, they have all these really cool arrows. But even better, if you go to the scientist, they have all of these diverse emojis, including pointers. So I can actually use my little pointer emoji to help me do my talking or pointing things out. So when you look for the colors of the rainbow, we're looking for red, orange, yellow, green, and blue, and purple. But don't just get stuck with colors. Maybe you want to challenge yourself with a monochromatic picture, a picture that's just one color. And if you're up for a real big challenge, check out the color wheel. So you can kind of see how those pictures, those emojis, that drawing tool, whether you do the drawing ahead of time or live, can help enhance your video. So I'm just gonna come back and read through some of the comments, play around, see what's happening, drop those questions and comments along the side, and we'll try to address them all. So I definitely think it's a great option for book talks. I think the fact that Flipgrid's available on multiple platforms makes it a great option. And as we look at our tasks, I think in the current climate, it's great to give kids options. So one way or one strategy that we often would look at is a no-tech, a low-tech, and a high-tech option, so that everybody has an entry point. Sometimes the technology is the more accessible option because they may not have the materials that a no-tech option needs, but definitely lots of possibilities. So if we were looking at an example, Lisa, like you said, with book talks, I'd almost say that they have to advertise or convince somebody to read their book, so they could draw or create a book ad that wouldn't require any technology. They could record one in Flipgrid, which again is a bit different tools, different accessibility pieces. And then if they wanted to do something really fancy, they could use Apple Clips. So we've given them 3 ways that use 3 different types of technology. So everybody has an entryway into the activity and the task. But the book talks are kind of that common feature. It's great, Laura, that you've used them already. Great feature. Great use of the tool. And I love that they could comment back and forth. And when we look at importing, that's another great feature of Flipgrid, is that it can become a home and students can use whatever app works for them. So those people that are using McBride Let's Create, you can see we used it as a base to collect stop motion at a family creation event because everybody was using their personal devices. So Flipgrid became the one place we could drop all those videos and have them kind of in our own little film fest, if you will. Other tools, and one that we had talked about was Adobe Spark. So in Peel, we have access. I believe in Toronto, you have access. So Adobe Spark Video is a great, easy message tool as well. It's just deciding what would work best, but we've had lots of great success. I don't know if Anne's on tonight, but Anne and I rocked Adobe Spark. It was what a lot of her kids chose. Yeah, Jennifer, that's a great point. So when you're making your videos, I find, even for tonight, sometimes I'll storyboard out what I want to say just so I have some of those ideas. Or I'll go into my note app and just kind of pull out what my video is going to be about. I do the same thing with clips. I kind of plan it out first. And it just was easier to have all those files in one spot. And that is why, if you are an iPhone user, just having all of those pieces in your photo album is kind of handy. Definitely a great tool for people to explain instructions, to help kids, to walk kids through. Like I know part of that divide right now is that we're posting a lot. And we know a lot of times we've set kids up for success. Amanda had a great clip, little provocation for her math class around fractions. And I think that's where these tools are really a great way to bring ourselves and to bring that introduction. You can definitely drop your pictures into Google Drive and then bring them back down. It's just the time and, oh, that's so disappointing about Adobe Spark. It was great. Okay, Shanna, if you go to next, you should be able to click on a clip and then delete the clip. So that should give you that option to take it away. Another great reason, again, if it's not the whole clip because your clip rocked, it was just that last couple seconds that didn't work out, click on the clip and you can then trim it to be exactly the length that worked out for you. And then just that check mark to confirm. And remember, add more if you're wanting to add more segments to it. True, Sharon. The bonus to Adobe Spark was that it was on different devices, so it was web-based as well. But also for language learners, they're all great options to really capture their thinking in French or another language. That wasn't very eloquently said, but hopefully you understood the big concept. You said this was messy, authentic learning, right? So, Kathy, can we hold on to your question? We're going to come back to that at the end about how we could host them and other options. That's a great question of how do we get all of these things onto a site. Any of these videos, like the one we're making in Flipgrid Shorts or the Book Talks kids give to us. So in Flipgrid, you can actually download any of their videos and then upload them to a shared space. You can't give guest access to your grids. So if no student faces are shown, no identifiable information, you could definitely use that option as well. But that transfer is always one of those pieces. Yeah. Okay, Chrissy, that makes me feel better because I did log into mine the other day. We do have Adobe Spark and PO. Awesome. That's a great question, Laura. I guess you could download and put it into the grid. But that being said, the Flipgrid camera, the feature we're using, is already built into the grid. So all of the things you would do in a short, you could do right from your grid video when you're starting. The only reason to really go to shorts is if you don't want to have that interaction. But if you change your mind, like you started the short and then you're like, oh, now they want to chat, you can download the clip and move it over. I haven't seen a direct piece, but again, we'll ask the Flipgrid friends if that's a feature. I know they're adding things all the time. I'm terrible and I don't usually make really long videos. The longest videos I ever make are usually for the AQ courses, and I try to limit myself to 5 minutes, primarily because nobody's listening to me after 5 minutes. For kids and for sharing, I usually try to stay to 2 to 3, but I do like that you have 10 minutes. I know Flipgrid extended the times once all of this distance learning happened, just so that we have some of those pieces. Yes, Erin, we're going to show how to import a video. I haven't seen annotation features. I know screen casting is only a beta function, and perhaps I'm missing some pieces. You can talk over it, but I haven't seen the other tools. If anybody finds them today, let me know, and we'll use those pieces. So similar to what we talked about before, I may have a video that I want to bring in because I already have it created in clips, or I recorded something outside that I want them to watch as my inquiry provocation. So on the 3 dots, I can see that I have a couple different options. So I can add a video clip, and it just, again, I'm just pulling from my drive, and I have my video clip here, and I can open it. And you're going to see that it's just being added to my stream here. Now, just like we did in other tools, you can hold and rearrange those pieces so that you have control over where they fall, which order they kind of come into play. Now, if you noticed, those 3 dots is also where we saw the screen recording beta. So something like this, maybe I want to just remind them where they go on Google Classroom to drop it. So I could say screen recording and start my screen recording. Sorry, you're going to have a little psychedelic moment there when we first start. So I can actually talk them through. Again, I don't see the tool option, but if anybody finds it, let me know. And I could tell them to go to classwork and to go to the assignments and drop their work here. And I so hope Google Classroom puts in a student view option soon enough. So if I stop sharing and go back to my shorts, I'm going to see that that screen record is part of my clip. And again, I can trim off that beginning because I don't need it, and Trim off the end there maybe. So I have another clip in my collection. So again, if I go back to add more, so all of those features are hiding under the 3 dots. The screen record, I don't believe I haven't seen that option on the iPhone yet, but remember you can always record or screen record or take pictures. I think when kids are doing it, I kind of just want them to add their video clip or have that option. So to your point, Lisa, if I had a Flipgrid where they can all drop their book reports, students that wanted to could just record themselves talking. Other friends could get fancy with the whiteboard and the text and a picture. And then if some wanted to go to clips or some wanted to use stop motion, they have that option to add those clips into that collection. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let's return and let's go see it again. Let's go to next and click my clip. It puts you in the bottom. Can you see that there, Chrissy? So I'm trying to point. If you look in the bottom right corner, you can actually see me talking through the screen record. So they get a little, I forget that happens sometimes. So they do a little capture of you as you're doing the screen record. I don't know if that makes me feel awesome. I always make weird faces when I'm trying to talk people through websites. So Jennifer, there's no direct way to get to your Google Photos. I don't know a direct way. We can always send that to Flipgrid or put our little wishes in. Flipgrid's always adding new features and new pieces. But yeah. Yeah, so Karen, for kids, when they're making their videos, they're not going to have that screen record option. But remember, if they're on an iPad or an iPhone, I have to play with Android a bit more to see if it's available on there. They can screen record and drop that into your Flipgrid grid. Yeah, because it's more of that screen capturing, I haven't seen a possibility to add music in the background. Because again, you're kind of navigating and talking through your concepts. So unfortunately, you don't have that background music to make you feel fancier. Yeah, it's really cool to use that embed. Chrissy, I know we were talking about math teachers if you wanted to explain a concept, thinking even if you had which one doesn't belong and you want to kind of annotate, or if somebody's struggling with math and you want to give them a couple strategies or show them a couple of strategies, that whiteboard and pen or blackboard and drawing tool really allow you to talk through those animations. Sorry, Jennifer. I talk for way too much too. So where clips was kind of making different segments, in the Flipgrid Shorts, you kind of saw that I changed from page to page, and that's really that idea of adding more. So every time we add more, we're adding another section, but it's really up to you to clear your screen. So whether you choose the whiteboard, the blackboard, or you have more of a selfie video, those are kind of your 3 options for what you're seeing on the screen, if that makes sense. To me, I would use Flipgrid Shorts if I'm explaining a resource that I want them to look at. I'd probably look at it if I'm talking through a concept, and all of those pieces. Jennifer, I've never gone back to edit. I've always done the editing as I go along. So I don't believe we have that option because, again, in Flipgrid, we're not really able to go back and edit our clips. If I'm wrong, please correct me, friends. And the 3 dots, so again, you're only going to see those 3 dots with the options we saw up here on the screen, but your 3 dots are just going to be right about there on the left of the record button. Thank you, Chrissy. Beside the red camera. That sounds so much more eloquent than what I just said. And I'm terrible. I keep doing Flipgrid Shorts thinking eventually I'll get this arrow pointing thing down. And I have not yet once pointed to the right direction. 7, 8, 9, 10 clips in. Eventually I'll figure it out. All right, so we've rocked it. We've tried filters. We've tried adding text. We've played with the emojis. We've played with the drawing. We've played with the whiteboards. We've added images. We've even added our own clips, and we've gone back and done a little screen record. So really the next piece is looking at those sharing options and how we can share our finished clip. So till this point, we've really been looking at just adding more, but if we go to next, and we go next one more time because we're happy with our clip, I would suggest you just play it back to be sure. I'm always terrible about that, and then I can't change my mind, but definitely taking that chance. Remember, you can click and edit each of those individually, but I'm happy with my clip. I think it rocks. So I'm going to hit next. And this is the piece that's always a funny one. You need a still frame. So because this goes, and people that have used Flipgrid before, this is kind of typical. You have kind of that frame at the end. Now I could take a picture, I could set it up again, but I'm lazy. So I'm going to click on those 3 dots. And I could import my own picture if I had something fancy, or I can select a frame. So the frame just chooses a segment in my clip, and there's always a really weird look happening. So yeah, terrible frame, but we'll go for it anyways. So I want this to be I don't want that to be, I can't do it. I wish I could. So there we go. I want this to be the picture that they see when they first come to the video. So that's my frame, that first still shot they're gonna see. And I'll go next again. I can annotate this a little more. I feel really silly saying this, but it was actually a kid that had done theirs. So they kind of can have a title page, even if they just did a old school selfie video. Same for you if you just wanted a fancy kind of cover image, but the rest of it is just you talking. You have that option, color photo walk. So I'm gonna just take this picture here, make it a little smaller, and put it on the side. And then I'm gonna take my words. Love that it just figures it out by itself. Make them a little smaller. Click that again. And that looks pretty nice for my cover page. So I'm gonna say, oh, we need an emoji on there, why not? What emoji did I just put in? If you want to delete something off the screen, you can just hit delete when it's selected. Forgot to say that, sorry. Or the undo button would be a great option too. All right, so I'm happy. I'm gonna go next. It will process your video, and then you see it as part of your collection. So when I click on it, just realized it's not balanced, but I'll let that go. We have all of our share options on the bottom. So I get this link that I could just share like we did with the ad for tonight. You notice over on the right-hand side, we have a couple more options. That first one will let you download. So again, if you wanted to save it and drop it into your clips, drop it into somewhere else that you're housing it. The embed code is how you could embed it into your Google site, embed it into your Weebly, even embed it into your Brightspace. Brightspace usually allows you to drop in links and embed codes. And then we also have the option to go straight to Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams if you're using them or Remind. I often just drop the link in, but having that direct connection is a piece that can speed up your process as well. Any questions, comments? I'll just pull that back up so we can see that up on the screen. So as we said, I haven't, it's really more of that one-time creation piece. So you're not necessarily going back to edit these after. So that's why you really want to use those pieces as you go along. One of the really cool options is that Microsoft has the readability feature. Let's put closed caption. And I'm missing it now. So there's lots of ways, even for kids with accessibility. I think I'm just wrecking my internet's crashing on me. Let's leave it there. They'll turn all of the spoken word into text that can be read to them. So another great feature if you're looking at accessibility. Although I find video in and of itself and being able to use the images can really help us provide that accessibility to our learners, giving them that additional support instead of just that written text. And also helping parents understand what we're talking about or understanding some of where the learning is going. Kathy, that was, let's try. I don't know. I haven't ever tried moving it from shorts to a grid, so let's try. Remember, you could always download the video and upload it again. So if I go into my Let's Create, I'll make a new video. I don't see the option to import from shorts, but again, I could, if I decided this video, we're gonna have a whole conversation now, I could come in here and download it, the video, and then I could go back and upload it to my grid. Now, if you already know you're gonna do a grid and you want that explanation to be in your grid, if I'm not mistaken, hopefully I don't look like a crazy woman when I do this. So if I come in here and I want to add a little topic video here. So I'm gonna delete this focus. And I'm gonna record a video. I have all of my tools right within my grid. So that Flipgrid camera is the same Flipgrid camera wherever you go. So you're gonna get all of those same options, and that's the beauty of Flipgrid. So if I just want to send a message out, I go to Shorts. If we're gonna do an intro for a Flipgrid activity, I would come and do that right within my grid in the topic using my Flipgrid camera. Sorry, Jennifer. Yeah, so if you're recording, you can pick up an emoji and pick up a drawing tool at any time. You can even add text to your page as you're talking. I find just for myself, I do a lot of the text ahead of time because I want to move it and resize it. The drawing tool is awesome. And I can even switch the color as we're going along. I love those pointer emojis though. I haven't used those before. And when I was playing, I thought those would be a great option as we're going along to kind of highlight different features. Even at the beginning of the week, if you just want to show them where all the work is or help direct them to different places. How to even, if you have them reading some books on Pebble Go and you just want to remind them where to find that on that page. So Jennifer, you can definitely speak while you're drawing. I find that's how I use it the most. Chrome, I believe I use Chrome. I believe it works with most web-based browsers though, if you're not a Chrome fan. And Internet Explorer doesn't work with anything. Could you use the link in the grid? For your short? Yeah, for sure, because we have the option to put our link into the feature link. So you could definitely put your short into that feature link option. Great idea. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I feel like Flipgrid could have a whole nother Appy hour if we wanted to, where we just look at some of the features. If you have a go-to app, I know there were a lot of friends that wanted to do an Appy hour about creating the choice grids. We can do that next Wednesday if it's not too late for people. All right. Well, have an awesome evening. See you guys all later.